David. I'm now going to introduce one of the co-organisers of this protest here today, Jemima Broadbridge.
Hey. Woo! Thank you, Catherine. Thanks everyone for coming along today. My involvement in this protest as a local resident and a campaigner in the East End, I've been campaigning on planning issues in this borough for a very long time. And I'd really like to call on Town Hamlets Council and on the Mayor to reconsider the reason why this planning question was granted in the first place. Because the original application, as you all know, was for a museum charting the history of women in the East End. But when the scaffolding was taken down last week, everyone saw that it was anything but, and at the moment it looks quite salacious, it looks a little bit sort of sensational. We've got red lettering, we've got an image of the Ripper on the outside here. There was a skull and crossbones that's been painted out on the left, that's gone. And there's also an allusion in text on the outside to gory photos of the autopsies that can be viewed in the basement if you so wish, with discretion. So I'll let you make your own decision about that, but I think that's not in order. And personally, I felt quite uncomfortable about that as a woman, not just as a local resident. There's a lady called Jane Squires I've met recently who drinks in the Artful Dodger pub up there. She told me she's got 4 children, her daughter's 11, and she walks past this past this museum to get to her cafe here, which she goes to every day with her kids, and she knows they're going to be asking her, what is this museum all about? And, what does it mean, Mummy? And she feels really uncomfortable that her daughter is 11. She's got to explain to her about this killer of women and how he seems to have been given quite a lot of prominence on Cable Street. So I, kind of in solidarity with her and a lot of the other local residents, we're not happy about the area being rebranded as a Ripper Walk or Ripper Territory. As the gentleman said before me, he spoke very articulately about the history of the Battle of Cable Street. I feel very passionately that the battle that took place on this junction, where the big boards are put up saying "Non passeront," "None shall pass," very famous photographs of that. That was women, men, lots of people involved, Jewish tailors, Irish navvies, East London, Cockneys, everyone was fighting that. And, that is the history of Cable Street. It is not about Jack the Ripper. He didn't murder any victims on this road. The nearest murder was in Berners Street, which is a way away, and it was all done in Spitalfields and Whitechapel, and really has not much to do with this area. So to mislead tourists, to mislead Londoners, to make them think that somehow this is a Ripper alley, this is where, he slaughtered people, is wrong from a factual point of view, but it's also offensive. That it should be a museum charting the history of women in the East End, and it's anything but at the moment. And I'm waiting to see those words painted on the sign that we've been told by Mr. Palmer Edgecombe are going to be up there. They haven't appeared yet. I thought they might be here today. The museum is supposed to be opening today. It's not open, is it? Or is it? I can't tell. So basically, where are those words that he's going to paint underneath Jack the Ripper Museum saying, and the history of women in the East End? I can't see them unless my eyesight's mistaken. So anyway, so I just wanted to say that's why I'm involved in this, and thank you so much for coming along. I hope we can call on the council to look at the planning application again. I hope that we can ask them to consider not just things like opening hours and signage, but to look at the actual moral and ethical reason for having a museum called the Jack the Ripper Museum on this particular site in the East End of London. And I'm hoping that that's going to be grounds enough for them to call it in, or at least re-examine it in detail. But we haven't heard yet, so we're waiting to hear. The Mayor boycotted the opening today. That's the good news, so you know about that. John Biggs didn't come down, so he's obviously been advised by his councillors not to turn up, and that's probably a shrewd decision for him politically. However, we need to keep the pressure on, and we need to kind of be as vocal as possible to make sure that they don't think they're getting an easy ride with this, and people are not happy about it. So that's me done. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we've got a couple more speakers for you before the music starts. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the next speaker. She's a playwright who's written plays about suffragettes, including Emily Wilding Davison and Lady Constance Lytton. She also happens to be my mum, so please give a big round of applause for Ros Connolly.
Hey!